The information provided in this video regarding email marketing, HubSpot software, and business growth strategies is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute professional marketing, legal, financial, or career advice. Success in digital marketing depends on numerous variables including market conditions, audience engagement, niche selection, and individual execution. While we discuss historical trends and specific case studies, these do not represent a certainty of future results or potential outcomes for your specific business. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own due diligence and consult with certified professional advisors before implementing any business strategy, committing to software subscriptions, or handling sensitive consumer data. The average email subscriber in the United States is worth approximately $40 per month to a business, yet 99% of creators and small business owners are literally throwing that money into a digital paper shredder every single time they hit send. We have been told for a decade that social media is the king of growth, but the reality is that platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and even YouTube are rented land. You are one algorithm update away from losing your entire reach. Email marketing is the only digital asset you truly own and control, but there is a massive problem. Most beginners are doing it so poorly that they are actually damaging their brand reputation and ending up in the dreaded spam folder before they even have a chance to make a connection. When you send a generic, unoptimized email, you are not just failing to make a sale. You are training your audience to ignore you. But what if you could use the same sophisticated infrastructure used by Fortune 500 companies, scaled down to fit your specific needs for free? This is where HubSpot enters the equation. Today we are ending the guesswork once and for all. This is not a surface-level overview or a 5-minute summary. This is part 1 of a 10-part deep dive masterclass designed to turn you from a complete novice into a HubSpot email marketing architect. By the end of this series, you will not just know how to send an email. You will understand how to build a revenue-generating machine that operates while you sleep. In this first installment, we are breaking down the foundational architecture of HubSpot. We will cover the specific psychology of the inbound methodology, the technical setup that ensures your emails actually reach the inbox, and the one mistake most beginners make in their first 10 minutes that flags their account for manual review. If you have ever felt overwhelmed by the complexity of CRM systems or frustrated by low open rates, this masterclass is the solution you have been looking for. To understand why we are using HubSpot, we first have to look at the historical trends of digital communication. In the early 2000s, email marketing was a volume game. It was about blast sending as many messages as possible to as many people as possible. However, the modern consumer has evolved. Today, relevance is the only currency that matters. HubSpot is unique because it is not just an email service provider. It is a full-scale customer relationship management platform, or CRM. Most beginners start with tools that are just silos of information. They have their email tool here, their customer data there, and their website analytics somewhere else. This fragmentation is the primary reason why businesses fail to scale. HubSpot solves this by placing your email marketing directly on top of your customer data. This means every email you send is informed by every interaction that person has ever had with your brand. Before we even click a button, we need to discuss the inbound philosophy that HubSpot pioneered. The goal is not to interrupt people with messages they do not want. It is to provide so much value that they look forward to hearing from you. Think of your email list not as a list of data points, but as a room full of real people who have given you their most precious commodity, their attention. In the United States, the legal landscape for this is governed by the CAN-SPAM Act, and internationally by regulations like GDPR. Historical data shows that businesses that prioritize permission-based marketing and transparency see significantly higher long-term engagement than those that use aggressive, high-friction tactics. Now, let us move into the actual infrastructure setup. The first step is creating your account, but there is a specific way to do this to protect your deliverability. When you go to the HubSpot homepage, you will see an option for a free account. Many people make the mistake of signing up with a personal Gmail or Outlook address. From a professional standpoint and a technical deliverability standpoint, this is a massive error. Email filters at major providers like Google and Microsoft are highly suspicious of business-style emails coming from personal accounts. To build a foundation that scales, you must use a business domain email address. This is the first step in proving to the internet at large that you are a legitimate entity. Once you are inside the HubSpot portal, the interface can feel intimidating. You have the top navigation bar with sections for contacts, conversations, marketing, sales, and service. For this tutorial, we are focusing on the marketing tab, specifically the email tool. But before we touch the email builder, we must address the technical trinity of email deliverability: SPF, DKIM, and MARC. This sounds like complex jargon, but it is actually quite simple. These are digital signatures that you add to your domain settings to verify your identity. Think of it like a passport for your emails. Without these, your emails are essentially traveling without identification, and the border guards, which are the spam filters, will likely turn them away. Historical trends show that accounts with properly configured domain authentication see a 40% higher chance of reaching the primary inbox compared to those that do not. We will be going through the step-by-step process of connecting your domain in the next section. But for now, understand that your domain's reputation is your most valuable asset. The next pillar of our foundation is the contact record. In HubSpot, every person on your list has a unique timeline. This timeline records when they opened an email, which pages of your website they visited, and even when they clicked a link in a social media post if you have your accounts connected. This is the deep data advantage. When we get to the stage of writing our first email later in this masterclass, we will be using this data to personalize the message. Personalization is no longer just about saying, "Hi, first name." It is about knowing that a specific subscriber looked at your pricing page 3 times in the last 48 hours and sending them a helpful guide related to the specific service they were viewing. This level of relevance is what separates the top 1% of marketers from the rest. We also need to set realistic expectations regarding the HubSpot ecosystem. While the free tier is incredibly powerful and allows you to send up to 2,000 emails per month, it is designed as a gateway. As your business grows, you will eventually transition into the starter, professional, or enterprise tiers. Each tier unlocks more automation capabilities. However, a common mistake is thinking you need the most expensive plan to get started. You do not. The historical success of many US-based startups shows that mastering the fundamentals on the free version is the best way to ensure you have the skills to utilize the advanced features later. Finally, let us talk about the contact import process. If you are moving to HubSpot from another tool, you likely have a CSV file of contacts. Many beginners simply upload the whole list and start blasting. This is the quickest way to get your account suspended. HubSpot has a very strict acceptable use policy to protect the reputation of their shared IP addresses. If you upload a list that has a high bounce rate or a high number of spam complaints, HubSpot will shut you down to protect their other users. Before you import a single name, you must ensure that every person on that list has given you explicit, verifiable consent to email them. We are going to go through a list scrubbing protocol where we use third-party tools to verify that the email addresses are still active. This proactive step protects your sender score, which is essentially a credit score for your email marketing. By focusing on these foundational elements, the legal compliance, the technical authentication, and the CRM-first mindset, you are building your marketing on solid rock rather than shifting sand. You are not just learning a tool, you are learning a professional discipline. In the next part of this series, we will dive deep into the actual interface navigation and show you how to customize your dashboard so that the data you need most is always front and center. We are just getting started on this journey to email mastery. Now that you have your business domain connected and your account verified, it is time to step into the cockpit. Imagine a small business owner named Sarah in Austin, Texas. It is March 2026, and she has just launched her boutique subscription box service. When Sarah first logs into HubSpot, she is greeted by a default dashboard that looks like a wall of data. Without a clear plan for navigation, she could easily spend hours clicking through menus without ever sending a single email. Your first priority is to customize this interface so it works for you, not against you. In 2026, HubSpot has streamlined its user interface to focus on what they call the unified experience, but it still requires a practiced hand to master. Look at the top navigation bar. This is your command center. On the far left, you have the HubSpot sprocket icon, which always brings you back to your primary dashboard. Next to it is the Contacts tab. This is arguably the most important section of the entire CRM. It is not just a digital Rolodex. In 2026, the Contacts tab is a living database that tracks every touchpoint a lead has with your brand. When you click into Contacts, you see a list view. You can customize these columns to show the information that matters most to your specific business goals. For Sarah in Austin, she needs to see more than just names and emails. She adds columns for last page seen and average order value. By doing this, she can see at a glance who her most engaged fans are before she even opens her email tool. To the right of Contacts is the Conversations tab. This is where your marketing becomes two-way. It houses your inbox where all replies to your marketing emails, live chat messages from your website, and direct messages from connected social media accounts congregate. Historical trends show that businesses that respond to inquiries within 5 minutes have an 80% higher chance of conversion. By centralizing these conversations, HubSpot ensures that you never miss a lead because it was buried in a personal inbox. Then we have the Marketing tab, which is the heart of our masterclass. When you hover over Marketing, a drop-down menu appears. You will see sections for ads, email, social, and campaigns. For our purposes, the email section is where we will spend most of our time. However, do not ignore the Campaigns tool. In 2026, HubSpot uses an integrated campaign approach. This means you can group your emails, social posts, and ad spend under one umbrella to see exactly which channel is driving the most revenue. A case study of a mid-sized e-commerce brand in New York showed that by using the Campaigns tool to coordinate their spring 2026 launch, they were able to identify that their email sequences were performing 3 times better than their paid search ads, allowing them to pivot their budget in real time. Moving further right, you find the Sales and Service tabs. Even if you consider yourself strictly a marketer, these tabs are vital. The Sales tab contains your deal's pipeline. When someone clicks a link in your email and moves toward a purchase, they often transition from a marketing contact to a sales deal. The Service tab handles tickets. If a customer emails you with a complaint or a question about their order, it should be turned into a ticket. This ensures that the next time you send them a marketing email, you have the context of their previous issues, preventing you from sending a high-energy sales pitch to someone who is currently frustrated with a late delivery. The most powerful feature of the navigation bar, however, is the Global Search tool, located right in the center. In 2026, this search bar is powered by an advanced AI assistant. You do not just search for names. You can type commands like Find My Draft for the April newsletter, or Show Me contacts who visited the pricing page today. This acts as a massive time saver for busy entrepreneurs like Sarah, who may have hundreds of drafts and thousands of contacts to sift through. Now let us focus on the dashboard itself. By default, HubSpot gives you a general overview, but you need to build a custom marketing dashboard. Click on the Add Report button in the top right corner. You want to drag and drop widgets that provide immediate, actionable insights. The first widget you should add is the Email Performance Over Time report. This shows you a line graph of your open rates and click-through rates. If Sarah sees a sudden dip in her Tuesday morning emails, she knows she needs to investigate her subject lines or her delivery timing. The second widget is the Lifecycle Stage Funnel. This shows you how many people are in each stage of your journey, from subscriber to lead to customer. This high-level view prevents you from getting bogged down in the minutiae and keeps you focused on the big picture of business growth. One of the most overlooked areas for beginners is the settings gear icon in the top right. This is where the technical health of your account lives. Under the general settings, you must ensure your time zone is set correctly. If Sarah is in Austin but her HubSpot is set to Pacific time, her automated emails will go out an hour later than intended, potentially missing the peak engagement window for her local audience. Furthermore, this is where you manage your users and teams. If you are working with a freelancer or a virtual assistant, you can give them granular permissions. For example, you can give a writer permission to create email drafts, but not the permission to hit send or export your entire contact list. Protecting your data is just as important as growing it. In 2026, HubSpot also features an updated app marketplace, accessible via the house icon next to your profile. This is where you connect the other tools you use. If you use Shopify for your online store, Zoom for your webinars, or Slack for your internal communication, you can plug them directly into HubSpot. This creates a seamless flow of data. Imagine if Sarah's Shopify store automatically told HubSpot exactly what a customer bought. She could then trigger an automated thank you email that includes a tutorial video on how to use that specific product. This is the level of sophistication that was once reserved for massive corporations, but it is now available to you from day one. Before we move on, we have to talk about the Help and Support portal. In the bottom right corner of your screen, you will see a question mark icon. In 2026, this is not just a static FAQ page. It is an interactive learning center. If you are stuck on a technical setup, you can access the HubSpot Academy directly from within the tool. Historical data indicates that users who complete at least one HubSpot Academy certification are 60% more likely to see positive outcomes in their marketing campaigns within the first 6 months. It is an investment in your own skill set that pays dividends in the form of better campaign performance. Sarah's dashboard is now clean, focused and ready for action. She is no longer staring at a chaotic screen. She is looking at a streamlined command center that tells her exactly where her business stands. She has her domain verified, her dashboard customized, and her team permissions set. But there is a glaring problem. Her contact list is currently empty. She has the machine, but she has no fuel. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the architecture of the contact record. We are going to show you how to build a lead generation system that populates your CRM with high-quality prospects. We will reveal the specific contact properties that you need to be tracking in 2026 to stay ahead of the competition, and the secret to using the HubSpot tracking pixel to understand your audience's behavior before they even tell you their name. Stay tuned because the real power of the CRM is about to be unlocked. The secret to mastering HubSpot in 2026 starts with something invisible. It is called the HubSpot tracking code, often referred to as the tracking pixel. Before you even think about building an email, you must understand how this piece of JavaScript functions as the eyes and ears of your marketing machine. When you navigate to your settings gear, click on Tracking and Analytics, and then Tracking Code, you are presented with a snippet of code. For a business owner like Jackson in Seattle, who runs a high-end vertical farming consultancy, this code is his most valuable employee. Jackson installs this code into the header of his website. Immediately, HubSpot begins to monitor every visitor, even the ones who have not signed up yet. In 2026, where third-party cookies have become largely obsolete due to privacy regulations, this first-party data collection is the only way to accurately map a customer journey. Imagine if a potential client lands on Jackson's site after searching for urban irrigation systems. The tracking pixel notes that this anonymous visitor spent 4 minutes reading a blog post about hydroponic nutrients and then visited the pricing page twice. At this stage, the visitor is just a number. But the moment they fill out a HubSpot form to download a free guide on sustainable gardening, a transformation occurs. HubSpot takes that historical anonymous data and merges it into a brand new contact record. Now, Jackson does not just see a new subscriber named Emily. He sees that Emily has been researching irrigation for 3 weeks and is specifically interested in the pricing for mid-tier systems. This is the anonymous to known conversion process, and it is the technical foundation of every high-performing campaign in the United States today. Now let us open the hood of the contact record itself. When you click on a contact like Emily, you are looking at the most detailed profile possible. On the left-hand side, you have the About This Contact section. This is where your properties live. Properties are simply data points. In 2026, you have standard properties like first name, email, and phone number, but the real power lies in custom properties. Jackson creates a custom property called Garden Type with a drop-down menu including options like backyard, balcony, and commercial. By asking this one question on his sign-up form, he can now segment his database with surgical precision. Historical trends in the US market show that personalized emails based on specific user interests result in a 28% higher click-through rate compared to generic blasts. In the center of the contact record is the timeline. This is a chronological feed of every interaction. You can see every email Emily opened, every link she clicked, and every page she viewed. In 2026, HubSpot has introduced an AI-driven intelligence tab within the timeline. This tab uses machine learning to predict the contact's next move. It might flag Emily as a high-intent lead because her behavior matches the patterns of previous customers who made a purchase within 7 days. This allows Jackson to prioritize his time. Instead of chasing every lead, he focuses his energy on the ones that the system identifies as being on the verge of a breakthrough. On the right-hand side of the record, you will see sections for deals, tickets, and list memberships. This is where the CRM integration we discussed in Part 2 truly shines. If Emily has an open sales deal for a $3,000 irrigation system, Jackson can see it right here. This prevents him from accidentally sending her a 20% off coupon that might undermine the profit margin of the pending deal. It also shows which list she belongs to. In HubSpot, lists are the engines that drive your email sending, and they come in 2 flavors, static and active. Understanding the difference between static and active lists is a major hurdle for beginners. A static list is a snapshot in time. You manually add people to it or you import a CSV file, and that list never changes unless you manually edit it. An active list, however, is dynamic. It is based on rules or what HubSpot calls filters. For example, Jackson creates an active list where the rule is, contact has viewed the pricing page in the last 24 hours and garden type is commercial. As people meet these criteria, they are automatically added to the list. If they stop meeting the criteria, they are automatically removed. This means your email segments are always up to date without you ever lifting a finger. Case studies of US-based SaaS companies have shown that utilizing active lists for behavior-based follow-ups can increase lead-to-customer conversion rates by nearly 15% over a 12-month period. To get people into these lists, you need high-quality lead capture tools. Within the Marketing tab, you will find the Forms tool. In 2026, we have moved beyond simple name and email fields. HubSpot allows for something called progressive profiling. Imagine if Emily returns to Jackson's site a month later to download a second guide. Since HubSpot already knows her name and email, the form automatically changes. Instead of asking for her name again, it asks for her estimated budget and her primary gardening challenge. This reduces friction and allows you to build a progressively deeper profile of your prospects over time. It is a psychological principle. The less work a user has to do, the more likely they are to complete the action. By using smart fields, you are constantly gathering more intelligence without annoying your audience with repetitive questions. Another critical component of the 2026 HubSpot architecture is the lifecycle stage. This property tells you exactly where a person sits in your marketing funnel. The stages typically move from subscriber to lead, then to marketing qualified lead or MQL, then sales qualified lead opportunity, and finally customer. Most beginners leave everyone as a lead, which is a massive strategic mistake. By correctly categorizing Emily as an MQL when she downloads a high-intent resource like a pricing guide, you can trigger different automated workflows. Historical data suggests that businesses that align their email content with the specific lifecycle stage of the recipient see a 60% improvement in overall engagement. You do not talk to a first-time subscriber the same way you talk to a long-term customer who is considering a second purchase. As we look at the historical trends of 2026, the most successful creators are those who treat their CRM data as an asset more valuable than their actual product. They spend time cleaning their data, merging duplicate records, and ensuring their properties are accurate. They use the original source property to see exactly where their leads are coming from. Did Emily find Jackson through a Google search, a referral from a partner site, or a specific YouTube video? HubSpot tracks this automatically. This allows Jackson to see the potential outcomes of his marketing spend. If he sees that YouTube is driving 80% of his high-value commercial leads, he knows exactly where to double down on his content creation. Now imagine you have all this data flowing in. You have your pixel tracking every move, your forms capturing deep insights through progressive profiling, and your active list segmenting your audience into high-intent groups. You have built a sophisticated engine that knows exactly who your audience is and what they want. But the engine is idling. It is time to put it into gear. The next step is the most creative and visible part of the process: the actual construction of your first email. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to move into the HubSpot email builder. We will explore the drag-and-drop interface, but more importantly, we will reveal the specific design elements that are bypassing the 2026 AI-driven spam filters. We will talk about the death of the overly designed HTML email and why plain text style messages are seeing a massive resurgence in the US market. You have the data. Now it is time to write the message that turns a lead into a loyal advocate. Stay with me because we are about to hit send. In the HubSpot ecosystem, the transition from gathering data to sending your first email is where the strategy meets the screen. When you navigate to the Marketing tab and click on Email, you are faced with your first major decision: selecting the type of email you want to create. In 2026, HubSpot provides 3 primary options: regular, automated, and blog/RSS. For most of you starting out, the regular email is your primary tool for newsletters and one-time announcements. However, as we progress, the automated email will become your best friend, as it allows you to build sequences that trigger based on the behaviors we tracked in the previous section. Imagine Marcus, a business owner in Chicago who runs a premium home gym equipment brand called Peak Performance. It is June 2026, and Marcus is preparing to launch a new line of adjustable dumbbells. Historically, Marcus used a different platform that relied heavily on flashy, image-heavy templates. While these looked like professional flyers, his open rates were plummeting because the sophisticated AI filters used by Gmail and Outlook in 2026 now categorize heavy HTML structures as purely commercial noise, often shunting them directly into the promotions or spam folders. Following historical trends that favor authenticity, Marcus decides to use the HubSpot drag-and-drop editor to create what we call a hybrid plain text email. The drag and drop editor is divided into 3 sections. On the left, you have your content blocks such as text, images, buttons, and dividers. In the center is your canvas, and on the right is the styling pane. Marcus starts by selecting a simple single-column layout. In the 2026 marketing landscape, multi-column layouts often break on mobile devices or appear cluttered to the modern, distracted user. He drags a text block to the top. This is where we implement the first rule of high-conversion email, the personalization token. Instead of writing a generic greeting, Marcus clicks on the Personalize button in the text editor toolbar. He selects the contact property for first name and sets a global default to friend just in case the data is missing. But he does not stop there. Because Marcus used the custom properties we discussed in Part 3, he can also insert a token for last purchase category. His email now reads, "Hi Sarah, I noticed you recently upgraded your yoga setup. This level of granular personalization is not just a nice feature. It is a requirement for staying relevant in a crowded inbox." Historical data indicates that emails using deep personalization based on past purchase behavior see a 35% increase in click-through rates. As Marcus builds the body of the email, he focuses on the ratio of text to images. A critical technical detail for 2026 is the 70-30 rule. 70% of your email should be searchable, readable text, and no more than 30% should be images. This ensures that even if a recipient has images disabled, the core message is still communicated. When Marcus does add an image of his new dumbbells, he pays close attention to the alt text property in the right-hand styling pane. Alt text is the text that appears if the image fails to load. Instead of leaving it blank or using a generic file name like image1.jpg, he writes, "High-resolution preview of the 2026 Peak Performance Adjustable Dumbbells." This is not only good for accessibility, but also acts as a secondary signal to email filters that the content is legitimate and high value. Next, we move to the Call to Action or CTA. In the HubSpot Builder, the CTA button is a dedicated module. Beginners often make the mistake of including 5 different links to 5 different places. This creates decision paralysis. Marcus follows the one-goal rule. Every email should have one primary action you want the user to take. He styles his button with the high-contrast color that stands out against the white background, and he uses action-oriented text. Instead of click here, he uses Get Early Access. HubSpot allows you to track these clicks with incredible precision, giving you a heat map of where users are engaging most within your layout. Once the design is set, we must address the most important text that isn't even in the body of the email, the subject line and the preview text. Marcus navigates to the Settings tab within the Email Builder. In 2026, the battle for the inbox is won or lost in the first 40 characters. Historical trends suggest that shorter, curiosity-driven subject lines often outperform long, descriptive ones. Marcus tests 2 variations. One is, "Your home gym is missing this." The other is, "Pre-order the new Peak Performance dumbbells today." He uses HubSpot's built-in A/B testing tool to send these 2 versions to a small percentage of his list. The version that gets the most opens will automatically be sent to the rest of his subscribers. Below the subject line is the preview text. This is the snippet of text that appears after the subject line in most mobile email clients. This is often ignored by beginners, who let it default to the first line of the email, which usually says something like, "Having trouble viewing this email? View in browser." This is a massive waste of prime digital real estate. Marcus uses the preview text to provide a secondary benefit or a sense of urgency, writing, "Limited quantities available for the June 2026 production run." Before hitting send, Marcus looks at the from name and from address. Case studies show that people are more likely to open an email from a person than from a brand. Instead of sending from Peak Performance, he sends from Marcus at Peak Performance. This small shift in the from name creates a human connection and increases the likelihood that the recipient will engage with the content. He also ensures that his reply to address is a monitored inbox. There is nothing more frustrating for a customer than replying to a marketing email with a question, only to receive a bounce back from a no-reply address. The final step in the builder is the Review and Send tab. HubSpot provides a comprehensive checklist that flags potential issues before they become problems. It checks for broken links, missing alt text, and even analyzes your subject line for common spam triggers. Marcus uses the Send a Test email feature to see exactly how the message looks in his own inbox and on his mobile device. He also uses the Preview and Other Email Clients tool. which generates screenshots of how the email will look in dozens of different versions of Outlook, Gmail, and Apple Mail. This ensures that his hard work doesn't fall apart because of a weird rendering issue in an older version of a specific software. Marcus is now ready to launch. He has built a clean, personalized, and technically sound email that respects the boundaries of the 2026 digital landscape. But sending the email is just the beginning of the journey. Once that message hits the servers, a flood of data will start coming back. How many people opened it? Who clicked the button but didn't buy? Who unsubscribed immediately? Understanding these metrics is what separates a one-time sender from a master marketer. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive deep into the analytics and reporting side of HubSpot. We will show you how to interpret the data, what a healthy bounce rate looks like in 2026, and the specific post-send actions you need to take to keep your list healthy and your revenue growing. We are going to turn those clicks into a strategy for long-term loyalty. Stay tuned because the numbers are where the real story begins. The moment you hit send on a HubSpot email campaign, the platform transforms from a creative workspace into a high-powered laboratory. Imagine David, a founder of a specialized software company in Denver, Colorado. It is April 2026, and David has just distributed his first major product update via email to 5,000 subscribers. In the past, David would simply look at how many people bought his product and call it a day. But in the modern landscape of 2026, that surface-level thinking is a recipe for stagnation. To truly master HubSpot, you need to understand the post-send forensic analysis. You navigate to the Marketing tab, select Email, and click on the specific campaign you just sent. Immediately, you are presented with the Analyze tab, which is a dashboard of human behavior. The first number David sees is the successful delivery rate. Many beginners overlook this, assuming that if they have 5,000 emails on their list, 5,000 emails were delivered. This is rarely the case. Historical trends in the United States show that even healthy lists often see a delivery rate of 98 or 99%. If David's delivery rate drops below 95%, it is an immediate red flag that his list hygiene is failing. This could be due to hard bounces, which occur when an email address no longer exists, or soft bounces, which might happen if a recipient's inbox is full or their server is temporarily down. HubSpot categorizes these automatically. David clicks on the bounced metric to see the specific addresses. He notices several hard bounces from former corporate clients who have likely moved to new companies. By removing these addresses immediately, David protects his sender reputation, ensuring that future emails do not get flagged as spam by major providers like Google or Microsoft. Next, we look at the open rate, but in 2026, this metric requires a massive asterisk. Following the implementation of advanced privacy protocols across Apple and Android devices, many opens are now cached or preloaded by the device itself. This means your open rate might look significantly higher than it actually is. HubSpot identifies these as machine opens. David looks at the adjusted open rate, which filters out these automated signals to give him a realistic view of how many actual humans engaged with his subject line. If his human open rate is below 20%, he knows his subject line failed to create enough curiosity or urgency. For his April 2026 update, David used an A/B test on his subject line. Version A was a direct announcement, while version B was a question about a specific pain point. The data shows that version B had a 15% higher human open rate. This isn't just a win for today. It is a data point that informs every subject line David will write for the rest of the year. As we move deeper into the funnel, we reach the click-through rate or CTR. This is the most honest metric in your dashboard. It tells you what percentage of the people who received your email actually took the action you requested. While the open rate measures your subject line, the CTR measures the quality of your content and the strength of your call to action. David sees a CTR of 3%. At first, he is disappointed, but then he looks at the click-to-open rate or CTOR. This metric divides unique clicks by unique opens. It tells you, of the people who actually read the email, how many were convinced to click. David's CTOR is 25%, which is excellent. This tells him that while his subject line could be stronger, his actual email copy is doing its job perfectly. HubSpot also provides a visual tool that is indispensable for high-level marketing: the heat map. When David scrolls down his report, he sees an overlay of his email design with glowing hotspots over the areas where people clicked most. He notices something fascinating. Many people were clicking on a decorative image of his software interface, thinking it was a video or a link to a demo, even though it wasn't. Because he has this data, David makes a mental note for his next campaign. Every image should be a clickable link. If people are naturally gravitating toward a specific element, you should reward that curiosity by sending them exactly where they want to go. Now let us discuss the metrics that no one likes to talk about: unsubscribes and spam complaints. In the 2026 digital economy, an unsubscribe is not a failure. It is a gift of clarity. It is the system naturally weeding out people who are no longer a fit for your message, which saves you money and keeps your engagement rates high. However, David keeps a close eye on the rate. If he sees a spike in unsubscribes after a specific email, he knows he likely crossed a line into being too aggressive or irrelevant. The spam complaint rate, however, is the death knell for a sender. Historically, keeping this under 0.1% is vital. If even 5 people out of 5,000 mark David's email as spam, he needs to pause and reevaluate his opt-in process. Did these people truly ask to be on his list? Beyond the immediate numbers, HubSpot's reporting allows for a potential outcome analysis by integrating with your CRM. David can see exactly which of his customers clicked the email and then went on to upgrade their subscription within the next 48 hours. This is the holy grail of marketing: attribution. He isn't just looking at clicks, he is looking at revenue. He sees that his email campaign influenced $45,000 in potential deals. This data is what he uses to justify his marketing budget and his time. Step by step, the post-send process should look like this. First, wait 48 hours for the data to stabilize. Second, export your list of hard bounces and unsubscribes to ensure they are globally opted out. Third, analyze your A/B test results and document the winner. Fourth, look at the heat map to identify user friction. Finally, use the list membership tool to create a new segment of people who clicked but did not convert. This is your high-intent follow-up list. David creates an active list of the 200 people who clicked his demo link but didn't sign up. He can now send them a more personal, targeted follow-up email 3 days later. By treating these numbers as a map rather than a scorecard, you move from guessing to knowing. David is no longer just a business owner sending emails. He is an architect of engagement. He knows his audience's habits, their preferences, and their breaking points. But there is one thing David still struggles with. He is doing all of this manually. Every time he wants to send an update, he has to build the email, choose the list, and monitor the results. As his business grows toward the end of 2026, this manual labor is becoming a bottleneck. He needs his marketing to work for him while he sleeps. He needs to move from one-off campaigns to automated ecosystems. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the world of HubSpot workflows. We will show you how to build automated sequences that react to user behavior in real time, delivering the right message at the exact moment a lead is ready to buy. We are about to take the data we just learned to analyze and turn it into a self-operating revenue machine. Stay with me because this is where we scale. To understand the true power of scaling in 2026, you have to stop thinking of yourself as a sender of emails and start thinking as an architect of systems. We are entering the world of HubSpot workflows. This is where the manual labor ends and the intelligent machine takes over. Imagine Elena, a business owner in Miami who operates a high-end, eco-friendly furniture brand called Terraform. It is August 2026, and Elena's website is attracting thousands of visitors interested in sustainable office setups. Elena cannot personally greet every individual who downloads her Home Office Design Guide 2026. If she tried to manually follow up with every lead, she would have no time to actually run her business. This is the exact problem that HubSpot workflows solve by creating a series of automated actions that trigger based on specific human behaviors. To build your first workflow, you navigate to the Automation tab and select Workflows. You are presented with a blank canvas, but do not let the emptiness intimidate you. Every workflow begins with a trigger. In the 2026 HubSpot interface, triggers have become incredibly sophisticated. You can enroll a contact based on a form submission, but you can also trigger a sequence based on a property change, a page view, or even an interaction with a specific ad. For Elena, the trigger is simple. Contact has filled out the design guide form. This is the entry point. Once that person hits submit, they are officially enrolled in the engine. The first action Elena adds is the immediate delivery of the guide. In 2026, the United States consumer expects instant gratification. If that email takes 10 minutes to arrive, you have already lost the momentum. But here is where the masterclass level of automation begins. Most beginners stop at the delivery. Elena, however, adds a delay. In the workflow editor, you drag the delay module under the first email. She sets it for exactly 24 hours. Why? Because historical trends in 2026 show that a follow-up sent exactly 1 day after the initial interaction, at the same time the user was already active on their device, results in a 22% higher open rate than a random follow-up time. After the 24-hour delay, Elena sends a second email. This one isn't a sales pitch. It is a brand story email. It explains why Terraform uses reclaimed mahogany and how they support local artisans. This builds the relationship. But what happens if the user doesn't open that second email? This is where we use the if/then branch. This is a fork in the road for your automation. In the HubSpot builder, you add an if/then branch with the criteria. Contact has open brand story email. If the answer is yes, they move down the left path to receive a product showcase. If the answer is no, they move down the right path where the system waits another 2 days and then sends the same email but with a different, more provocative subject line. This ensures no lead is left behind simply because they were busy when the first message arrived. In 2026, we also have to consider internal actions. Workflows are not just for sending emails to customers, they are for keeping your CRM organized. Elena adds a step in her workflow that says, if contact has clicked the pricing page link in the last 48 hours, set property lead status to MQL, and send a Slack notification to the sales team. This turns your email marketing into a real-time intelligence gathering operation. Your sales team in Miami now knows exactly who is hot and who is just browsing, without Elena ever having to send an internal status report. Case studies from 2026 indicate that businesses using integrated internal notifications see a 30% faster response time to high-value inquiries. Another critical component is the goal. Every workflow needs a destination. For Elena's welcome sequence, the goal is for the contact to book a design consultation. In the top right corner of the workflow editor, she sets the goal criteria to contact has filled out consultation form. The moment a contact meets this goal, HubSpot automatically ejects them from the workflow. This is vital. There is nothing more unprofessional than a customer booking a meeting and then receiving an automated email 2 hours later, asking them why they haven't booked a meeting yet. It breaks the illusion of personal connection. In the 2026 landscape, your automation must be smart enough to know when its job is done. We must also talk about the technical settings of the workflow itself. Under the Settings tab, you will find options for unenrollment and suppression. If a contact is already a customer, you likely want to suppress them from receiving a beginner's guide sequence. Elena uses a suppression list that includes everyone who has made a purchase in the last 90 days. This prevents her from looking redundant or annoying to her most loyal clients. Furthermore, she enables re-enrollment only for specific triggers. For a welcome sequence, you only want a person to go through it once. But for something like a password reset or a purchase confirmation, you need re-enrollment turned on so the system can fire every time the action occurs. As we look at the potential outcomes of this setup, the data is clear. Automated sequences that respond to user intent have a 4 times higher engagement rate than standard newsletters. This is because they are timely, relevant, and personalized. Imagine if Elena had 5 different products. She could create 5 different if/then branches based on which page the user visited. If they spent time looking at office chairs, the workflow would pivot to send them chair-related content. If they looked at desks, the path would change accordingly. This is called behavioral nurturing, and it is the gold standard of 2026 marketing. However, even the most perfect workflow can fail if your data is messy. If you have duplicate contacts or incorrect properties, your if/then branches will send the wrong people down the wrong paths. This brings us back to the importance of the CRM foundation we built in the earlier parts of this masterclass. Your automation is only as smart as the data you feed it. Elena spends 30 minutes every Friday auditing her workflow performance, looking for bottlenecks where people are dropping off. She notices that a large percentage of people stop engaging at step 4. This tells her that the content of that specific email needs to be rewritten, or the delay needs to be adjusted. By the time Elena has finished building her automated ecosystem, she has created a 24/7 sales representative that never sleeps, never takes a vacation, and never forgets to follow up. She has built a bridge between a total stranger and a loyal customer, paved with relevant content and perfectly timed interactions. But there is a missing piece to this puzzle. How does Elena know which leads are truly the most valuable? How does she distinguish between a student doing research and a corporate buyer ready to spend $50,000 on office furniture? She needs a way to rank her leads automatically, so she can focus her human energy on the biggest opportunities. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the sophisticated world of lead scoring and segmentation. We will show you how to assign numerical values to every action a contact takes, and how to use those scores to trigger the high-level sales workflows that drive serious revenue. We are about to turn your list into a leaderboard. Stay with me because the strategy is about to get much more profitable. In the year 2026, the sheer volume of digital noise means that treating every subscriber the same is a direct path to the archive folder. This is where lead scoring transforms your HubSpot portal from a simple database into a high-octane intelligence center. Imagine Liam, a founder of a logistics technology firm based in Chicago. It is mid-2026, and Liam's inbound engine is generating 500 new leads every single week. Some of these are college students doing research on supply chains, while others are chief operating officers at mid-market freight companies, ready to sign six-figure contracts. If Liam treats them the same, he wastes his sales team's time and annoys the students who just wanted a PDF. Lead scoring allows the system to automatically rank these individuals based on their professional attributes and their real-time engagement. To set this up, you must navigate to the Settings gear icon, go to Properties, and search for the HubSpot Score property. This is a default property, but it is a blank slate until you provide the logic. In HubSpot, you create sets of positive and negative attributes. Think of this like a digital credit score for your prospects. Historically, the most effective lead scoring models in the United States combine demographic data with behavioral data. For Liam, a positive demographic attribute would be a job title that contains the word manager, director, or officer. He assigns 10 points to anyone meeting this criteria. If their company size is over 50 employees, that is another 15 points. Immediately, the system is filtering for the right type of person. However, demographics are only half the story. Behavior is where the true intent is revealed. Liam sets up behavioral triggers. 5 points for every marketing email opened, but 10 points for every click within those emails. If a contact visits the pricing page more than twice in a 48-hour period, that is a high-intent signal worth 30 points. This is the beauty of the 2026 HubSpot interface. It tracks these micro-moments with surgical precision. But we must also account for negative attributes to keep the leaderboard accurate. If a contact uses a generic email domain like Gmail or Yahoo instead of a corporate domain, Liam subtracts 20 points. If they haven't opened an email in 30 days, he subtracts another 10. This ensures that the leads at the top of the list are both qualified and currently active. Now, imagine the potential outcomes when this data meets your workflows. Liam sets a threshold of 70 points. The moment a contact's HubSpot score hits 70, they are automatically upgraded from a lead to a marketing qualified lead or MQL. This transition triggers a specific automation that notifies the sales team in Chicago via a high-priority Slack message. This is not just a notification. It is a context-rich alert. The sales rep can click into the HubSpot mobile app and see exactly why the score jumped. Perhaps the prospect just watched a 3-minute demo video and downloaded a technical white paper. In 2026, speed to lead is the most important metric in B2B sales. Case studies show that responding to a high-scoring lead within 15 minutes of a score-triggering event can increase the likelihood of a discovery call by over 400% compared to waiting 24 hours. We also have to discuss the concept of score decay. In the fast-paced market of 2026, a lead that was hot 3 months ago but has since gone silent is no longer a priority. HubSpot allows you to build rules that automatically lower a score if no engagement is recorded over a specific time frame. This keeps your list fresh and prevents your sales team from chasing cold ghosts. Liam implements a rule where if a contact's last engagement date is more than 60 days ago, their score is reset to 0. This forces the marketing team to re-engage them with a specific win-back sequence before they ever touch the sales pipeline again. Beyond individual scoring, we use these values for advanced segmentation. This is where we move from a single list to a multidimensional strategy. Liam creates an active list called high-intent VIPs. The criteria for this list are a HubSpot score over 80 and an industry property of logistics or manufacturing. This list is then used as the audience for a highly exclusive, invite-only webinar series. Because the audience is so targeted, the engagement rates are astronomical. Historical trends in the U.S. software sector suggest that these hyper-segmented lists see open rates as high as 60%, compared to the industry average of 20% for general newsletters. But what about the people with low scores? This is the largest part of Liam's list, and it is where most beginners leave money on the table. Instead of ignoring them, Liam uses his segmentation to put them into a long-term education sequence. Since their score is low, he knows they aren't ready to buy, so he doesn't send them sales pitches. He sends them industry news, trend reports, and helpful tips. As they engage with this content, their score slowly begins to climb. This is the process of nurturing. It is a marathon, not a sprint. By the time a lead reaches that 70-point threshold, they have been educated by Liam's brand for weeks or even months. They already trust his expertise before they ever speak to a human. One of the most powerful features in the 2026 version of HubSpot is the predictive lead scoring tool. This uses machine learning to analyze thousands of previous customers and identify the hidden patterns that lead to a sale. It might discover that leads who visit the careers page and then read a specific blog post about automation are twice as likely to close. HubSpot then automatically creates a predictive score for every new lead based on these findings. Liam uses this AI-driven score alongside his manual rules to create a double verification system. If both the manual and predictive scores are high, he knows he has a gold standard prospect on his hands. The technical execution of this requires a clean CRM. If your data is fragmented, your lead scoring will be inaccurate. Liam runs a weekly data cleanse workflow that flags any contact missing a job title or industry. This ensures that his scoring logic has all the variables it needs to function correctly. This level of discipline is what separates the professional marketers from the amateurs. You are no longer just sending emails. You are running a sophisticated scoring engine that tells you exactly where to spend your most valuable resource, your time. Liam's logistics company is now seeing a significant increase in sales efficiency. His team is no longer frustrated by low-quality leads, and his prospects are receiving content that actually matches their level of interest. The leaderboard is working. But there is a final layer to this sophistication. Even with a perfect score and perfect timing, the email itself needs to feel like it was written by a friend, not a machine. We need to move beyond simple personalization tokens like first name and into the world of dynamic content. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to explore how to change the entire body of an email based on the data in a contact's profile. We will show you how to send one email that appears differently to 5 different people, ensuring that every word is perfectly calibrated to their specific needs. We are about to make your automation feel incredibly human. Stay tuned because we are diving into the art of the dynamic send. The transition from segmented lists to dynamic content is the moment you stop being a marketer and start being a personal concierge for every person on your list. In the marketing landscape of 2026, personalization is no longer a luxury. It is a defensive necessity against the increasingly aggressive AI filters that guard the modern inbox. When we talk about dynamic send in HubSpot, we are referring to the smart content feature. This allows you to create a single email where specific sections, images, or calls to action change automatically based on who is opening the message. Imagine Chloe, the owner of a multi-state fitness franchise called Pulse Point, headquartered in Denver. It is October 2026. And Chloe is launching a New Year pre-registration campaign. In the old days, Chloe would have to build 5 different versions of her email for her 5 different regions to ensure the pricing and location details were accurate. With HubSpot Smart Content, she builds one. To execute this, you navigate back to the email builder we explored in Part 4. When you hover over a rich text module or an image block, you will see a button labeled More. And within that menu, you select Add Smart Rule. This is where the magic of the HubSpot CRM integration truly manifests. You are prompted to choose a category for your rule. The most common in 2026 are list membership, lifecycle stage, and contact property. For Chloe, she selects list membership. She has already created active lists for her members in Colorado, Texas, and Florida. By selecting these lists as her smart criteria, she can now edit the content of that specific block for each group. For the Colorado list, the background image shows a snowy mountain view with the Denver studio address. For the Florida list, the image swaps to a coastal sunrise with the Miami address. To the recipient, it looks like a perfectly tailored local message. To Chloe, it was one 5-minute setup. The step-by-step logic here is critical. First, you must define your default content. This is your safety net. If a subscriber does not fall into any of your specific smart categories, perhaps they are a new lead whose location has not been tracked yet, they see the default version. Chloe's default shows a generic, high-energy gym photo and a link to find the nearest location. Once the default is set, you toggle through your smart rules at the top of the module editor. Historical trends in the U.S. retail sector show that emails using location-based dynamic content see a 50% higher foot traffic conversion rate than those using a single national address. By showing the subscriber exactly where they need to go, you remove a massive layer of friction from their decision-making process. But we can go deeper than just geography. Chloe uses smart content to tailor her messaging based on the garden-type property we discussed in the earlier farming consultancy example, but for her gym, she uses fitness interest. If a contact has a property value of yoga, the main headline of her email reads, "Find your balance in 2026." If the property is weightlifting, it reads, "Break your PR in 2026." This level of psychological alignment is why HubSpot users often see potential outcomes like a 30% increase in total revenue per email sent. You are speaking directly to the individual's motivations. In the 2026 attention economy, if you can make a subscriber feel seen within the first 3 seconds of opening an email, you have won. Another sophisticated application of this technology is the Smart Call to Action or Smart CTA. Within the HubSpot Marketing tab under Lead Capture, you can build buttons that are themselves dynamic. Chloe places a Smart CTA at the bottom of her newsletter. She sets a rule based on lifecycle stage. If the person is a lead, the button says, "Claim your free day pass." If the person is already a customer, the button automatically changes to say, "Refer a friend for a free month." This prevents the awkward and unprofessional experience of asking a loyal paying customer to sign up for a free trial. Case studies of American subscription services in 2026 indicate that using lifecycle-based smart CTAs can reduce customer churn by up to 12% because it ensures that every interaction provides relevant value rather than redundant offers. The technical validation of these dynamic emails is the most important part of the pre-send process. Within the HubSpot editor, you must use the preview as a specific contact feature. Do not just look at the generic preview. Chloe types in the name of a known member from Texas and watches as the images, text, and pricing instantly pivot to the Texas version. She then previews as a lead from Colorado and verifies that the CTA has reverted to the free pass. This step is non-negotiable. If your logic is flawed, for example, if you have overlapping lists, the system may default to the first rule it finds, which could result in a confusing experience for the user. Furthermore, we must address the 2026 data privacy implications of dynamic content. Because you are using first-party data stored in your own CRM, this method is highly compliant with modern US privacy standards. You are not relying on third-party tracking or invasive cookies to personalize the experience. You are simply using the information the customer has already given you to provide a better service. This builds a cycle of trust. Historical observations suggest that when customers receive highly relevant content, they are more likely to keep their data up to date, which in turn makes your dynamic content even more accurate. Imagine the impact of this on a massive scale. If you are a creator with a list of 50,000 people, you cannot manually personalize. But with 3 or 4 well-placed smart modules, you can create the illusion of a one-on-one conversation with 50,000 people simultaneously. You can show different product recommendations based on past purchases, different event invites based on time zones, and different languages based on browser settings. This is the ultimate expression of the inbound methodology, being helpful at scale. However, there is a silent killer that can ruin even the most perfectly dynamic email deliverability. If your technical infrastructure is weak, or if your domain reputation has been damaged by previous bad habits, your beautifully tailored message will end up in the spam folder where no one will ever see it. In 2026, the major email providers have introduced even stricter protocols for what they consider legitimate business communication. You could have the best smart rules in the world, but if your DMARC settings are off or your engagement to send ratio is too low, you are invisible. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the high-stakes world of deliverability and domain health. We will show you how to conduct a full audit of your sender reputation, the secret to warming up a new IP address in 2026, and the specific technical triggers that get your emails flagged by AI filters before they even leave the server. We are going to ensure that your hard work actually reaches the eyes of your audience. Stay tuned because we are about to protect your most valuable digital asset. Your domain reputation is the invisible credit score of the internet, and in 2026, it is the single most important factor determining whether your business survives or disappears. Imagine Ethan, a specialized audio equipment consultant in Nashville, Tennessee. It is November 2026, and Ethan has spent 3 months building a beautiful HubSpot email sequence for his Black Friday promotion. He has the perfect dynamic content, his lead scoring is spot on, and his segments are highly targeted. But when he hits send, his open rates hover at a staggering 2%. Ethan hasn't been flagged for spam by his users. He has been flagged by the autonomous AI filters that guard the gateways of Gmail and Outlook. Because Ethan failed to prioritize his technical deliverability, his emails are being discarded by the servers before they ever reach a human eye. In the 2026 digital landscape, deliverability is governed by a technical handshake consisting of 3 primary protocols: SPF, DKIM, and MARC. This is what we call the triple lock system. To ensure your HubSpot emails are delivered, you must navigate to your settings, click on website, and then domain and URLs. Here you will find the email sending domains section. This is where you verify your ownership of the domain and authorize HubSpot to send on your behalf. If you skip this, you are essentially sending mail with a forged return address, and in 2026, the internet has zero tolerance for unverified senders. Let us break down the SPF or sender policy framework in a way that is actionable. SPF is a simple text record that you add to your DNS provider, such as GoDaddy, Namecheap, or Cloudflare. This record acts as an authorized guest list. When an email server in the United States receives an email from Ethan's domain, it checks this list to see if HubSpot is an approved sender. If Ethan hasn't updated his SPF record to include HubSpot.com, the receiving server assumes the email is a spoofing attempt and sends it straight to the void. Historically, businesses that correctly implement SPF records see a significant reduction in immediate server-side bounces. Next is DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail. This is a more sophisticated digital signature. When you connect your domain in HubSpot, the platform generates a pair of cryptographic keys. One stays with HubSpot, and the other is placed in your DNS settings as a name record. Every email Ethan sends is then digitally signed. When the recipient server receives it, it uses the public key in Ethan's DNS to verify that the email hasn't been tampered with in transit. In 2026, where deepfake text and sophisticated phishing are rampant, a valid DKIM signature is the only way to prove your content is authentic. The final and most powerful piece of the triple lock is DMARC, which stands for Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. DMARC tells the receiving server exactly what to do if the SPF or DKIM checks fail. In 2026, simply having a DMARC record is not enough. You must move toward a policy of P=reject. This tells the world that if an email claiming to be from Ethan's domain fails the security check, it should be rejected entirely. Case studies from 2026 show that companies moving to a strict MARC enforcement policy see a massive increase in their overall domain authority because they have effectively shut down the ability for hackers to impersonate them. But technical setup is only half the battle. We also have to talk about sender reputation and the concept of IP warming. If you are new to HubSpot and you suddenly try to send 50,000 emails from a domain that has only been sending 10 a day, you will be blacklisted. The AI filters in 2026 see this sudden spike as a hallmark of a compromised account. To avoid this, you must implement a ramp-up period. Ethan starts by sending his highest value content to his most engaged 20% of subscribers. Over the course of 4 weeks, he gradually increases the volume. This proves to the internet's gatekeepers that he is a legitimate sender with a high engagement to send ratio. This brings us to the most critical metric of 2026, negative engagement. In the past, we only cared about opens and clicks. Today, the filters are watching how many people delete your email without opening it, how many people move it to a folder, and how many people report it as junk. HubSpot provides a deliverability dashboard that monitors these signals in real time. If Ethan sees his spam complaint rate creep above 0.05%, he must immediately pause his sends. Historical trends indicate that once a domain is marked as high risk, it can take 6 to 12 months of perfect behavior to restore its reputation. To maintain a pristine reputation, you must implement a sunset policy. This is a workflow that automatically identifies subscribers who haven't engaged with your content in a specific time frame. In 2026, the standard is 6 months. If a subscriber hasn't opened an email from Ethan in 180 days, HubSpot automatically moves them to a suppression list. Beginners often fear this, thinking they are losing potential customers. However, the potential outcomes of keeping unengaged people on your list are much worse. By sending to people who don't care, you are lowering your overall engagement percentage, which signals to Gmail that your content is low value, which then causes your emails to go to the spam folder for your active, paying customers. Ethan also utilizes the HubSpot Graymail suppression feature. Graymail is email that a person technically opted into but doesn't actually want to read. The 2026 HubSpot AI identifies these patterns and can automatically hold back your newsletter from people who are likely to ignore it. This keeps your engagement rates artificially high and protects your domain health. Furthermore, Ethan ensures that his unsubscribe link is not just present, but easy to find. In 2026, making it hard to unsubscribe is a violation of the updated CAN-SPAM regulations and a fast track to a permanent ban. You want the people who don't want to be there to leave quickly and quietly, rather than hitting the spam button out of frustration. Finally, let us look at the emerging 2026 standard known as BIMI, or Brand Indicators for Message Identification. This allows Ethan to display his verified brand logo next to his name in the inbox. To qualify for BIMI, Ethan must have his DMARC policy set to reject and possess a verified MARC certificate. While this requires an investment, the visual impact is undeniable. Historical data suggests that emails with a verified BIMI logo see a 10% increase in open rates because of the immediate visual trust it establishes with the recipient. Ethan has now secured his infrastructure. His SPF, DKIM, and DMARC are locked. His IP is warmed, and his sunset policy is keeping his list clean. He is no longer shouting into the void. He is a verified, trusted communicator. But even with perfect deliverability, there is one final piece to the masterclass. How do you tie all of these technical, psychological, and automated systems together into a long-term growth strategy? How do you ensure that your HubSpot portal continues to generate value year after year without becoming a cluttered mess of data? In the final part of this series, we are going to explore the Mastery Roadmap. We will show you how to conduct a quarterly audit of your entire ecosystem, the secrets to scaling your team within HubSpot, and the advanced reporting techniques that will prove the ROI of your email marketing to any stakeholder. We are about to cross the finish line and turn you into a HubSpot architect. Stay with me for the grand finale. The transition from a technical setup to long-term architectural mastery begins with a process most people ignore until it is too late: the quarterly systems audit. Imagine Olivia, the owner of a premium coffee subscription service in Portland, Oregon. By December 2026, Olivia has successfully used the strategies from this masterclass to grow her list to 15,000 subscribers. However, a database is like a garden. If you do not weed it, the weeds will eventually choke your results. Every 90 days, Olivia performs what she calls the Great Cleanse. This involves 3 specific steps within the HubSpot portal that ensure her data remains an asset rather than a liability. First, Olivia uses the HubSpot duplicate management tool. In 2026, AI-driven deduplication is a standard feature. People often sign up for newsletters with different email addresses, or a sales rep might manually enter a contact that already exists. HubSpot's AI scans for matching names, phone numbers, and even IP addresses to suggest merges. By merging these records, Olivia ensures that her reporting is accurate and that she is not sending the same email twice to the same person, which is a major cause of unsubscribes. Historical trends in the US e-commerce market show that companies with clean, deduplicated data see a 12% higher accuracy in their revenue attribution reports. The second step of the audit is property normalization. Over time, as you create new forms and integrate new tools, your properties can become inconsistent. Olivia looks for contacts who have a state value of or versus Oregon. She uses a HubSpot workflow to automatically format these values into a single standard. This is not just about being tidy, it is about segmentation. If Olivia wants to send an invite to a local event in Portland, her active list will fail if half of her audience is hidden behind an unformatted state code. Normalization is the bridge between having data and being able to use it. Third, Olivia conducts a workflow retirement. Technology moves fast in 2026. A lead nurturing sequence that worked in January might be irrelevant by July. Olivia looks at the enrollment rates and goal conversion rates for every active workflow. If a sequence has a conversion rate below 5%, she pauses it and investigates. She also checks for overlapping triggers. As you build more automation, you run the risk of a contact being enrolled in 3 different sequences simultaneously, bombarding them with 5 emails in a single day. Olivia uses the Workflow Pause tool to ensure that a contact can only be in one high-priority marketing sequence at a time. Now that the foundation is clean, we move into scaling the team. As your business grows, you will inevitably bring on help, whether it is a virtual assistant, a marketing manager, or a sales team. In 2026, the risk of data breaches or accidental deletions is higher than ever. You must master HubSpot user permissions. Instead of giving everyone super admin access, which is a common and dangerous beginner mistake, you use the principle of least privilege. You create specific roles. For example, Olivia's freelance copywriter has permission to create and edit email drafts, but cannot publish them or export the contact list. Her sales rep can see their own deals but cannot change the global property settings. This structure protects your database and ensures that everyone has a focused interface that only shows the tools they need to do their job. The most significant leap in your mastery comes from advanced reporting and attribution. This is how you prove the value of your work to yourself, your partners, or your investors. In the 2026 HubSpot interface, the custom report builder is your primary weapon. Most people look at individual email reports, but an architect looks at the multi-touch attribution report. This report answers the most difficult question in marketing. Which specific touchpoints actually caused the sale? Imagine a customer who first found you through a YouTube video, then signed up for your newsletter, then clicked a link in a dynamic email, and finally bought after seeing a retargeting ad. HubSpot's attribution model allows you to assign a percentage of the credit to each of those steps. Case studies of mid-sized U.S. tech firms in 2026 demonstrate that by switching from last-click attribution to a linear or U-shaped model, they discovered their educational emails were actually responsible for 40% more revenue than they originally thought. This data allowed them to stop wasting money on low-performing ads and double down on their content marketing. To build this in HubSpot, you navigate to Reporting, then Reports, and select the Attribution tab. You can filter by influenced revenue to see a leaderboard of your most profitable emails. This turns your marketing from a cost center into a documented revenue generator. Step by step, to build a revenue report, you select the contact and deals data sources. You set your x-axis to the email name and your y-axis to the amount of closed-won deals. This simple visualization allows you to walk into any meeting and show exactly how many dollars each email campaign put into the bank account. In 2026, where every marketing dollar is under scrutiny, this level of transparency is your greatest competitive advantage. As we look toward the 2026 Mastery Roadmap, the final frontier is the integration of AI-driven optimization. HubSpot has introduced the Autonomous Campaign Manager. This tool does not just send emails. It continuously A/B tests subject lines, send times, and even content blocks in real time across your entire database. While it is tempting to let the AI take over, the true architect uses it as a co-pilot. You provide the creative vision and the brand voice, and the AI handles the mechanical optimization. Historical observations suggest that the most successful brands of the late 2020s are those that maintain a human heart while utilizing a machine-driven nervous system. You have now completed the 10-part deep dive masterclass. You have gone from understanding the initial disclaimer and legal landscape to building a technical infrastructure of SPF, DKIM, and MARC. You have mastered the CRM architecture, built dynamic and behavioral workflows, implemented lead scoring leaderboards, and protected your deliverability with a pristine sender reputation. You have moved from a beginner to a HubSpot architect. The potential outcomes for your business are now limited only by your consistency and your willingness to keep testing. But the world of marketing does not stop at the inbox. While email is the backbone of your brand, it is part of a much larger ecosystem. The contacts you have nurtured here are the same people who are searching for you on Google and engaging with you on social media. The data you have gathered in HubSpot is the key to unlocking the next level of your growth. In our next series, we are going to take this exact same deep dive approach and apply it to the world of search engine optimization and content strategy. We will show you how to take the insights from your highest performing emails and turn them into a content engine that drives organic traffic for years to come. The journey to total digital dominance is just beginning. Stay tuned, because the next phase is where we turn your brand into an authority that cannot be ignored.